It was a biting October morning in Philadelphia, the kind where the wind cuts through your jacket and the sky is a relentless gray. I was sipping lukewarm coffee in my cramped Fishtown apartment when an eviction notice slid under the door like a death sentence. My name was on the lease, and I'd never missed a payment. $1,200 every month, wired on the first. Then my phone buzzed with a bank alert. My credit score, once a proud 780, had cratered to 420. Panicked. I logged into my account and found the impossible $1.2 million mortgage in my name for a house I'd never seen. Meanwhile, my sister, Claire, was posting Instagram selfies from a beach in Maui, her tanned face glowing as she toasted a Mai Tai in front of her new dream home, a mansion in Philly's ritzy main line. My dream home, a cardboard box under the I-95 overpass, with a repo man circling my beat-up Honda like a vulture. I'm Jamie Carter, 29, a freelance graphic designer clawing my way through life in Philadelphia's Fishtown neighborhood. My apartment is a 600-square-foot box with peeling paint and a radiator that clanks like a dying engine. But it's minor. I make about $45,000 a year designing logos for startups, flyers for dive bars, and the occasional album cover for local bands. It's not glamorous, but I've always been the responsible one in our family. I paid off my student loans early, kept my credit spotless, and never asked for handouts. Growing up in Cherry Hill, a middle-class suburb across the river in South Jersey, I was the kid who got straight A's, mowed the lawn without being asked, and saved my babysitting money in a coffee can under my bed. My sister, Claire, 2 years older at 31, is my opposite in every way. She's the golden child, the one who could do no wrong. In high school, she was prom queen, captain of the cheer squad, and Dad's fishing buddy, always laughing by his side as they reeled in trout at the lake. Mom braided her hair every morning, called her my little star, and framed every photo of Claire's pageants and dance recitals. I was the quiet one, sketching in my notebook, unnoticed unless I forgot to take out the trash. Claire's life has always been a whirlwind of charm and chaos. Failed startups, pyramid schemes disguised as wellness brands, and a string of boyfriends who paid for her designer bags until they wised up. Her latest gig as an manager, a job I still don't understand, ended when her company folded, leaving her broke again. 2 years ago, Claire showed up at my apartment, her mascara streaked like a bad movie scene. She clutched a Starbucks cup, her nails chipped, but still manicured, and launched into a sob story. "Jamie, I'm in deep trouble," she said, her voice quivering. "I lost my job, and I need a loan to start my own business. It's my big break, a lifestyle brand. But my credit's shot. Can I use your name on a few papers? It's temporary. I swear I'll pay it back." Her eyes, wide and pleading, were the same ones that got her out of trouble when she crashed Dad's Buick at 16, or borrowed $500 from my savings for a Coachella trip. She was my sister. I trusted her. So, I signed the forms, thinking it was a small business loan, $20,000, maybe $30,000 tops. She hugged me, her perfume overwhelming, and called me her savior. She promised to handle everything. I didn't think much of it after that. Claire always landed on her feet, like a cat with 9 lives. I was busy hustling for freelance gigs, meeting clients at coffee shops, and dodging Philly's potholes on my rusty bike. Life went on until last month, when it all came crashing down. It started with a call from my landlord, Mr. Kowalski, a gruff retiree who lived upstairs. "Jamie, you're 3 months behind on rent," he said, his voice heavy with disappointment. I laughed, confused. "That's impossible. I pay on the first check, your records." But when I logged into my bank account, it was frozen. My debit card was declined at the corner bodega, where I'd been buying my usual $3 breakfast sandwich. My credit card, which I kept for emergencies, was maxed out at $15,000. Then the eviction notice arrived, citing unpaid debts tied to my name, with a 30-day deadline to vacate. I spent hours on the phone with my bank, my hands shaking as I navigated their automated system. Finally, a rep confirmed the nightmare: a $1.2 million mortgage in my name, taken out 6 months ago for a property in Bryn Mawr, a wealthy enclave in Philly's main line, where mansions cost more than I'd earn in a lifetime. The owner listed on the deed, Claire Carter; the borrower, me. My stomach churned as I pulled up the loan documents, emailed to me after hours of arguing with the bank. The address was a 5-bedroom colonial with a pool and a 3-car garage. The signature on the mortgage looked like mine, but wasn't. I never seen the papers before. I sat on my sagging couch, the eviction notice crumpled in my hand, and opened Instagram. Claire's profile was a shrine to her new life. There she was, posing in front of a white-columned mansion, her blonde hair swept into a perfect bun, captioned, "Finally home." #dreamhouse, #living my truth. Another post showed her sipping wine on a deck overlooking a sparkling pool, tagged at Bryn Mawr Bliss. The timestamp was 2 weeks ago. She wasn't just living in the house, she was flaunting it. While I was dodging calls from collection agencies demanding payments on a debt I didn't create, I drove to my parents' house in Cherry Hill. The 45-minute trip a blur of rage and disbelief. Their split-level home hadn't changed since I was a kid. Same faded shutters, same creaky porch swing, same mailbox with Carter painted in Mom's careful handwriting. Inside, Mom was knitting a scarf in the living room. Dad glued a Jeopardy! Rerun, the familiar buzz of Alex Trebek's voice filling the silence. I didn't bother with small talk. I dropped the eviction notice, mortgage papers, and bank statements on the coffee table. "Claire did this?" I said, my voice shaking. "She used my name to buy a $1.2 million house. I'm being evicted because of her." Mom's knitting needles froze mid-stitch. Dad muted the TV but didn't look at me. The silence stretched, heavy and suffocating. Finally, Mom spoke, her voice barely audible. "She didn't mean it, Jamie. Claire's been through so much. She just made a mistake." "A mistake," I shouted, my voice echoing off the wood-paneled walls. "She stole my identity. I'm sleeping in my car, Mom. I've got collection agencies calling me every hour for a mortgage I didn't take out." Dad finally turned, his face stern, his eyes avoiding mine. "Don't raise your voice. Claire's your sister. She fixed this. Just don't make a big deal out of it." I felt like I'd been punched. They knew. They'd known for months. Claire had invited them to her new house last spring for a tour. They'd walked through her marble-floored foyer, admired her granite countertops, sipped wine on her deck overlooking the pool, and said nothing to me. They'd even met her new boyfriend, a hedge fund guy named Trevor, who'd bragged about the home theater system Claire was installing, all while I was scraping by, unaware my life was being dismantled. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked, tears burning my eyes. Mom reached for my hand, but I pulled away. "We didn't want to worry you," she said, twisting her scarf in her lap. "Claire promised she'd take care of it. She said you were okay with it." "Okay with it?" I laughed, the sound bitter and hollow. "I'm being evicted. My credit's ruined." She took out credit cards in my name, $50,000 in debt for furniture, a Tesla, and a trip to Maui. Dad shook his head, his jaw tight. "You need to calm down, Jamie. Family doesn't turn on family." I left without another word, the door slamming behind me. Back in my car, I scrolled through Claire's Instagram again, each post a fresh wound. She was in Maui now, posting from a luxury resort, her stories filled with sunsets, cocktails, and hashtags like #blessed and #dreamlife. The latest showed her lounging by a pool, captioned, "Nothing better than a well-deserved vacay." I wanted to scream. While I was eating gas station sandwiches and sleeping in a Walmart parking lot, my sister was living like a reality star in my dime. I called Claire that night, my hands shaking so badly I nearly dropped my phone. She answered on the third ring, her voice bright and carefree, like she was mid-laugh at a beach bar. "Jamie, hey, what's up? Don't play dumb," I snapped, parked in a dark corner of a 24-hour gym lot. "I know about the mortgage, the credit cards, the house. You used my name, Claire. I'm homeless because of you." She sighed, like I was overreacting about a spilled latte. "Relax, Jamie. It's just temporary. I needed a fresh start, you know. I'll refinance in a few months, get your name off the mortgage. No big deal, no big deal." I was shouting now, my voice echoing in the empty car. "You forged my signature. You took out $1.2 million in my name. I'm getting evicted, Claire. I'm living in my car." "God, you're so uptight," she said, her tone shifting to annoyance. "Mom and Dad said you'd understand. Just keep quiet, okay? For the family. Don't ruin this for me." I hung up, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst. That's when it hit me. I was trapped. My parents were on her side, begging me not to go to the police because it would destroy Claire's future. They even offered to let me crash in their basement, as if a pull-out couch and a mini fridge could fix the fact that I was drowning in debt. I didn't create. If I turned Claire in, I'd be the one tearing the family apart. I'd be the selfish daughter, the one who couldn't let it go. In their eyes, Claire was the victim, and I was the problem. But I wasn't going to let her win. Not this time, asterisk. The next week was a blur of survival. I'd been evicted from my apartment, my belongings stuffed into 2 duffel bags in the trunk of my 2009 Honda Civic. I bounced between parking lots, Walmart, a 24-hour gym, a quiet street near Fairmount Park, trying to stay under the radar. My phone was a constant barrage of calls from collection agencies, their robotic voices demanding payments on debts I didn't owe. My freelance work was suffering. Clients dropped me when I missed deadlines, too busy trying to keep my head above water. I spent hours at the Free Library of Philadelphia, using their Wi-Fi to research identity theft and mortgage fraud. I learned that what Claire did was a felony, punishable by up to 7 years in prison. But proving it was tricky. I needed evidence that I hadn't consented to the loan. I started requesting documents from the bank, the mortgage company, and the credit bureaus. My inbox soon flooded with PDFs that made my head spin. I found a pro bono lawyer, Sarah Nguyen, through a legal aid clinic in Center City. She was in her late 30s, with a nonsense attitude and a desk piled high with case files. "Your sister committed serious fraud," she said, scanning the mortgage papers I'd printed at the library. "We can sue her, but it'll take time, possibly years. The bigger problem is you're still liable for the mortgage unless we prove you didn't sign." Sarah helped me file a police report, but the officer I spoke to, a bored guy named Officer Malone, wasn't encouraging. "Family disputes are messy," he said, popping his gum. "You sure you want to press charges? It's your sister." I nodded, ignoring the knot in my stomach. I wasn't backing down. I dug deeper, pulling every document tied to my name. The mortgage application was a masterclass in deception. It claimed I earned $250,000 a year as a creative director at a non-existent company called Carter Creative Solutions. The signature on the dotted line looked like mine, but wasn't. Claire had practiced forging it, probably using old checks or forms I'd signed for her in the past. I also found 3 credit card accounts I didn't recognize, with $50,000 in charges for high-end furniture, a $30,000 Tesla down payment, and a $5,000 trip to Maui. Each discovery was a fresh wound, proof of how deeply Claire had betrayed me. Then, Sarah dropped a bombshell. She'd subpoenaed Claire's bank records and found a trail of smaller loans she'd taken out in my name over the past 3 years. $5,000 here, $10,000 there, all paid off just enough to keep me in the dark. This wasn't a spur-of-a-moment scam. Claire had been using my identity like a credit card for years, testing the waters before going all-in on the $1.2 million mortgage. The realization made me feel like I'd been living with a stranger, not a sister. I couldn't do this alone. My friend Marcus, a barista at my favorite Fishtown coffee shop, noticed I'd been coming in looking like I hadn't slept in days. "Yo, Jamie, you okay?" he asked one morning, sliding me a free latte. Marcus was 27, a part-time musician with a knack for listening. I broke down and told him everything: the mortgage, the eviction, Claire's betrayal. He didn't hesitate. "Crash at my place," he said. "It's just a couch, but it's better than your car." Marcus's apartment was a cluttered loft, above a tattoo parlor, filled with vinyl records and half-finished song lyrics, scribbled on napkins. His couch was lumpy, but it was a lifeline. He also introduced me to his cousin, Lena, a paralegal who worked at a law firm in Center City. Lena wasn't a lawyer, but she knew the system and offered to help me organize my evidence. "Your sister's a piece of work," she said, flipping through the mortgage papers, "but we'll nail her." With Sarah, Marcus, and Lena in my corner, I felt less alone. Lena helped me track down more documents, including emails between Claire and the mortgage broker that hinted at her scheme. Marcus kept me fed, blasting his punk rock playlists to drown out the collection agency calls. For the first time in weeks, I had a team and a plan. I decided to confront Claire in person. I needed to see her face, to make her admit what she'd done. I drove to the mainline house, my heart pounding as I pulled into the driveway. The house was a fantasy brought to life, a 5-bedroom colonial with white columns, bay windows, and a lawn so manicured it looked like a golf course. I knocked, and Claire answered in a silk robe. holding a glass of rose like she was starring in a lifestyle vlog. Jamie. She blinked, caught off guard. What are you doing here? I'm taking my life back, I said, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. The interior was obscene marble countertops, a chandelier sparkling in the foyer, a grand piano she didn't even play. I laid out the evidence on her kitchen island, the police report, the forged mortgage application, the texts where she admitted to borrowing my name. Her face went from smug to panicked, her wine glass trembling in her hand. You can't do this, she stammered, setting the glass down. You'll ruin everything. Mom and Dad will never forgive you. They're already on your side, I said, my voice steady despite the rage burning inside. But I'm done protecting you. I gave her an ultimatum: transfer the house to my name, pay off the credit card debt, or face criminal charges. She laughed, a nervous, high-pitched sound. You're bluffing. You wouldn't send your own sister to jail. Try me, I said, and walked out. That night, I called Sarah and told her to move forward with the civil suit. We filed the next day, requesting a freeze on Claire's assets and damages for the financial ruin she'd caused. I also sent the police the evidence, including a screenshot of Claire's text. Just keep quiet, okay? For the family. It was as close to a confession as I'd get. The weeks that followed were a slow-motion nightmare. Claire's lawyer, a slick guy named Greg with a Rolex and a smug grin, tried to flip the narrative, claiming I'd agreed to the mortgage as a gift to my sister. It was absurd, but it hurt to hear my parents back her up in their depositions. Jamie's always been jealous of Claire, Mom said under oath, her voice trembling. She wanted to help but changed her mind. Dad nodded, avoiding my eyes across the courtroom. The evidence was on my side. The forged signatures didn't match my handwriting, and Claire's texts were damning. The judge froze her assets, including the house, meaning she couldn't sell it or borrow against it. For the first time, Claire was the one panicking. She called me late one night, crying so hard I could barely understand her. Jamie, please, she sobbed. I'll lose everything. Just drop the suit, and I'll make it right. You had your chance, I said, and hung up. Then came the twist that nearly broke me. My parents, desperate to save Claire, offered to pay off the $50,000 credit card debt with their life savings. They sat me down at their kitchen table, the same one where we'd carved pumpkins as kids. We know Claire messed up, Dad said, his voice heavy, but she's our daughter. We can't let her go to jail. I stared at them, my throat tight. What about me? I'm your daughter too. I'm living on a friend's couch because of her. Mom started crying, her hands twisting a tissue. We'll help you, too, Jamie. Just don't do this. Don't tear the family apart. It was the hardest moment of my life. I loved my parents, but their loyalty to Claire felt like a second betrayal. I refused their offer. She needs to face consequences, I said, and so do you for enabling her. The civil suit dragged on for months, each hearing a battle of paperwork and emotions. Sarah was relentless, presenting the forged documents, the incriminating texts, and even testimony from a handwriting expert who confirmed the signatures weren't mine. Claire's lawyer tried to paint her as a desperate dreamer who meant no harm, but the judge wasn't buying it. In April, the ruling came down. The house was ordered transferred to my name to cover the damages, and Claire was facing criminal charges for identity theft and fraud. The credit card companies were working with Sarah to clear the debts from my record, but my credit score would take years to recover. I was still couchsurfing at Marcus's place, my freelance business barely holding together. But the ruling was a lifeline, or chance to start over. Claire didn't take it well. She showed up at Marcus's apartment one night, banging on the door, her face streaked with mascara. You're ruining my life, she screamed, loud enough to wake the neighbors. How could you do this to me? I stood my ground, Marcus hovering protectively behind me. You did this to yourself, Claire. You stole everything from me. She left, but not before hurling one last barb. You'll always be the boring one, Jamie. You'll never live like I do. I'm standing on the porch of the mainline house, keys in my hand. It's June now, 8 months since the eviction notice that changed everything. The house is stunning hardwood floors, a chef's kitchen with stainless steel appliances, a backyard big enough for a wedding. But it doesn't feel like a victory. Every corner is tainted with Claire's betrayal: the chandelier she picked out, the pool she swam in, the grand piano she never touched. My parents haven't spoken to me since the ruling. Mom sent a single text: we love you, but we need time. Dad hasn't reached out at all. Claire's out on bail, awaiting her criminal trial. And her Instagram is a mix of cryptic quotes about resilience and selfies in coffee shops, captioned with hashtags like #starting over. I blocked her, but not before seeing her latest post, a photo of her with Trevor, her hedge fund boyfriend, at a rooftop bar in Miami. I'm not sure what to do with the house. Selling it could give me a fresh start, pay off my legal fees, rebuild my credit, maybe buy a small condo in Philly. Part of me wants to move in, to reclaim what Claire tried to steal, to make it mine. I imagine repainting the walls, replacing her gaudy decor with my own sketches, turning the guest room into a studio. But every time I walk through the foyer, I see her face, her smug smile, her wine glass glinting in the sunlight. I've started picking up freelance work again, thanks to Marcus spreading the word at his coffee shop. Lena's been helping me navigate the paperwork to clear my credit, and Sarah's working pro bono to tie up the loose ends. I'm not out of the woods, my credit score is still in the gutter, and I owe Marcus more than I can ever repay for his couch and his kindness. But for the first time in months, I feel like I'm clawing my way back. I've also started seeing a therapist, Dr. Ellis, who's helping me process the betrayal. You're grieving more than a house, she said during our first session. You're grieving the family you thought you had. She's right. I missed the way things were: Sunday dinners with mom's meatloaf, dad's bad jokes, even Claire's annoying laugh. But I can't go back. I can only move forward. Last week, I got an offer on the house, $1.3 million, enough to pay off the mortgage and start over. I haven't decided yet. Part of me wants to keep it, to prove I can rise above Claire's mess. Part of me wants to sell it and cut ties with the past. Either way, I'm done being the doormat. Claire's on her own, and I'm finally free to rebuild. Looking back, I see the signs I missed. Claire's charm was always a weapon, her promises a trap. I should have questioned the loan 2 years ago, checked my credit sooner, seen through her tears. But I trusted her because she was family, because I wanted to believe we were on the same team. My parents' blind loyalty to her hurt almost as much as the betrayal itself. They saw me drowning and chose to save her instead. I'm learning to forgive myself for trusting her, for believing in the family we were supposed to be. Dr. Ellis says forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, it means letting go of the weight. I'm not there yet, but I'm trying. I'm also learning to set boundaries, to say no, to put myself first. It's a strange feeling, like stretching muscles I never knew I had. What would you do with the house? Sell it and start fresh, or move in and make it your own? How would you handle a betrayal like this? Forgive, fight, or walk away? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let me know if you're Team Jamie or think there's another way. To heal from this mess, follow 4 more stories of betrayal, redemption, and everything in between, and share this story to spread the word. Hit that like button if you're rooting for me to rise above.